y'all, in today's video, I'm gonna tell you everything you need to know before you visit Peru. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you're already a subscriber. Speaking of, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, make sure you do so I can continue to share all this wonderful content with you, especially as we explore the world together. In this video, I'm gonna go over the most common topics I get questions about, which are safety, food, weather, cost of living and prices, and just some things from my own personal experience that I think that you would benefit from. If you don't already know, a few months ago, I packed all my things, put them in storage, and took off on this world tour, so to speak. So far, we've been to Mexico, Panama, make sure you go watch that video, by the way, it's a good one. And now we're in Peru, Lima, Peru to be exact. I've never even thought to come to Lima, Peru. There's so much here that I did not expect, and I definitely want to share my experience with you. So if you decide to come to Lima, you'll already know what to expect. So with no further ado, let's talk about pricing first. Keep in mind, I'm sharing my perspective as an American who uses the US dollar. So what you deem to be expensive or affordable is definitely relative. So this is just coming from my perspective. Peru is one of the least expensive places that I've ever traveled to. In Lima, they use soles, which is about 27% of the US dollar. Meaning if you have something that is 100 soles, that's really only about 27 US dollars. For example, when I hand someone this, they usually don't have change for it. Like, this is a large bill here in Lima. And so if you do get cash, you're definitely gonna wanna get change, because the further away you get from the touristy areas, they're probably not gonna have change for big bills like hundreds or 50s. But you can use your credit cards and your debit cards here, so that does make it a lot easier. To give you an example of what some things cost, if you were to go out to a nice dinner with drinks, dinner may cost you between 20 to 30 soles, and drinks may cost you between 18 to 25 soles, depending on what you're getting. Which, if you add it up, a dinner for one may cost between $10 to $15. And I'm not talking about a janky little dinner. I mean like nice, great quality food and amazing cocktails. You're not gonna spend probably more than 50 bucks. And if you do, you're definitely going to be full and feeling good, okay? Usually what helps me when I'm buying things, if I look at it and it's in soles, I just multiply it by 0.27. That just goes to show you the exchange rate and just how far the US dollar goes here in Peru. Now, I can't speak for other currencies, but that's just to give you an idea. This also makes it pretty inexpensive when it comes to accommodations. If you know from my previous videos, I love me an Airbnb, so I'm definitely an Airbnb girly. But from my research, there are also hostels and hotels in Lima that are very inexpensive as well. I've been here for a few weeks and I've stayed in a few Airbnbs, and each one did not cost me more than $55 a night. Each place that I've stayed in has been beautiful and modern and had plenty of amenities that I could take advantage of, which is really convenient to me. But I will say this, not every place in Lima has washer and dryers in the unit. If they do, it's usually one machine that serves as the washer and the dryer, which, coming from the US, I've never seen that before, and I'm like, why don't we have this in the US? I don't know about the energy efficiency or anything like that, so if you know more about that than I do, feel free to drop it in the comments. But yeah, they have one machine that serves as the washer and dryer, which I thought was pretty cool. That's just something to be mindful of and to look for if you're looking for places to stay, if that matters to you. I also noticed that a lot of places here do not have central air. Both the Airbnbs that I stayed in had like fans in the unit, and to my surprise, Lima is not like miserably hot. I think because I'm in South America, I just expected Lima to be like super hot all the time, and it's really not like that. It has a warm to mild temperature, so like in the daytime it could get between 75 to 80, and in the evening it's definitely going to be around like 60s to low 70s, because Lima is a desert. I think it is one of the world's driest capital cities. So if you're expecting any like tropical heat in Lima, no. Not Lima. Maybe if you get out into like the Amazon, but no, it is a desert, which also makes it really important for you to protect your skin, stay moisturized, stay hydrated, because it is just very dry. It's also very overcast. The interesting thing is the sun is definitely still out. It may look overcast, but you still want to make sure you put on your sunscreen, you know. You're still gonna be warm. You definitely gonna be warm, but it's a little sneaky because it doesn't look like it's extremely warm until you get outside and start walking around. Another thing I noticed here is this weird spooky looking fog that just blankets the entire city. I'm telling you, like, one minute you can look out the balcony and see the entire city, and the next minute it is completely white, like you're living in a cloud. And I had to ask some locals here, like, is this normal? Like, what's going on? They said, oh yes, it's how do you say it? Garua? I think that's how you say it, Garua. It's basically when the ocean mist hits the inland desert wind and they just make this like misty, foggy cloud, and it literally covers the whole city. And at night, it looks like Sleepy Hollow. Like, if you're not prepared, it's like, what is happening? Definitely was not expecting that. Now, when the fog is not out and the sky is clear, Lima, Peru has one of the most beautiful views I've ever seen. From the ocean to the sun, especially the sunset. Oh my goodness, like people gather around every single day out in Miraflores, which is a really popular, beautiful area. It's a bit touristy, but there's definitely a beautiful vibe and energy of Miraflores. And when you go there, people are just out vibing, riding their bikes, playing music, eating good food. And around 6 p.m. people just gather to witness the beauty of the sunset. I've seen plenty of sunsets in so many places, and this by far is one of the top sunsets I've ever seen in my life. It is breathtaking. So that alone has been one of my highlights of being here, is just going out by the ocean to watch the sunset. I can't say enough about it. Speaking of Miraflores, Miraflores is definitely a part of the city center. It is a vast, bustling place with just so many people, so much energy, so much beauty. There's tons of restaurants and things to do in the area, and so I definitely recommend, if you want to stay in Lima, is to stay either in Miraflores or close to Miraflores, just so you can experience it. Another place that's really, really nice is Barranco, and it is steps away from Miraflores, and it is the arts district of Lima. It's a bit more local than Miraflores, but still you can tell there's some tourism influence here, but just not as much. Both parts of the city are very, very walkable. I mean, you can get just about anywhere in 10 to 15 minutes. There's a lot of local spots and street food and convenience stores and laundromats. I mean, you name it, you can walk to it. Now, just to share with you the Airbnbs that I stayed in, to give you an idea of not only what they look like, but also what to expect price-wise. The first Airbnb I stayed in was in San Isidro, which is Lima's like financial district. You can tell, depending on the area you're staying, some of it is in like the middle of gentrification, and there are some really beautiful, nice places to stay there, but then there also are some places that are on the cusp of maybe not the best area, but even in that, I felt very safe where I was. So this Airbnb was $47 a night, and if you stay in Airbnbs for longer than a week, they do give you a weekly stay discount. So I did save a bit with service fees and cleaning fees and all that. Ended up being $462 for the entire stay, which isn't bad. I will say the area I was in was a little further from Miraflores, which is where the ocean views are. It was about a 15 to 20 minute drive depending on traffic. And let me just say, the traffic, the driving in Lima, insanity. Depending on what you're used to. I've lived in Atlanta, Georgia for 8 years, and Atlanta has some of the worst traffic I've ever experienced. And so let's just say Lima has Atlanta beat when it comes to traffic. There are so many people here to the point where I'm looking around, there's all these buses and they're packed. I mean, like tons of people on these buses. And it made me think, like, how many people are here? Like, what's the population? 11 million. 11 million. That's just in Lima, the city of Lima, which is crazy. To give you context, if you're from the States, New York City has 8 million people. So like, to give you an idea. So yeah, the traffic here, crazy. If you decide to rent a car, good luck, okay? Because the people drive like there is no tomorrow, and they're definitely gonna get to where they get into it if you're in their way. Pray for yourself. But yeah, the Ubers are fairly inexpensive. I would say an average Uber ride may cost you like $2 to $3. Unless you're going like 20 minutes away, 30 minutes away, then it might cost you a bit more. For example, to get to the airport from Miraflores, it's about an hour away. So you're looking at spending about $15 for an hour Uber drive. Speaking of the airport, because of the traffic, if you don't leave early, you might risk being late to your flight. I'm just saying, the traffic can get like that. And you could tell most people here work between the 9 to 5 hours. So you're gonna have a typical rush hour flow right before work at 9 and right after work between like 5 to 7 o'clock. So keep that in mind because there's a lot of people here. Next up on the Airbnb list, I stayed in Barranco. And so this Airbnb was $62 a night. And that's for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, much more space, balcony, like beautiful. There are definitely other options. There are ones that are closer to the ocean. There are ones that are, you know, ducked away in the city. You just kind of gotta search for what works best for you. One thing I noticed that I really like about Lima is that people are very active. I mean, you go outside, people are on their bikes, they're on their rollerblades, they're walking, they're running. Even the seniors here are active. And so that's one thing I have noticed since being in South America. There's lots of programming around senior fitness and senior activity. And I love that. I think that's one of the keys to living a long, healthy life. So I've also noticed that this is a big surf city. I've seen so many people carrying around surfboards. There are surf shops everywhere. Even on my flight here, I saw people with their surfing gear. So obviously this is definitely a surfing destination. Even on my ride from the airport, the Uber driver was letting me know where to swim and where not to swim because the waves are insane. I'm not gonna be catching no waves like that, but I can see how someone who loves surfing would love to come to Lima. Next up on the list, we got food. So before I even got here, everybody and their mama was like, wait till you taste the food. The food is amazing. The food is amazing. I'm like, okay, I'm so excited to taste the food. And honestly, when I got here, I couldn't really tell what was like native Peruvian food because a lot of the stuff that I was finding was similar to like American bar food. Cheeseburgers, french fries, chicken wings. I'm like, where is the Peruvian food? Like, where do I find it? So I always ask my Uber drivers, like, what's your favorite food, or like what's the native food here? Ceviche was the most common answer. So as someone who doesn't really like ceviche, I know I can't really tell you nothing about that. Now I do plan to try it because I feel like that's like the most known dish here, but other than that, I've had this amazing dish called tallarín saltado. When I tell you, I've had it at least 5 times since I've been here. Like, by far my favorite dish. Tallarín saltado. I think that's how you say it. What else? Taquitos? Not taquitos. A really popular drink here is called the pisco sour. Really good. If I had to think of what it would be compared to, it would be kind of like maybe like a margarita. Then you have lomo saltado, which is similar to tallarín saltado, except there's no noodles. It's just like a mixture of beef and vegetables and a side of rice. So that's very, very popular. You see that on a lot of menus. Arroz con pollo, of course. I feel like you can't visit many Latin American countries without having arroz con pollo. And then their version of Chinese food here is called chaufa. Oh, I actually just got done eating some. I could eat chaufa all day long. It's fried rice, vegetables, sometimes a little egg. You can get chicken or beef. Delicious, delicioso. So yeah, there are plenty of other Peruvian dishes that I hope to get to experience, but so far that's all I've had. Now, to my surprise, there were a lot of like American-based food places like KFC, which when I tell you, every time I walk past a KFC, there is a line out the door, and I've had it myself. It's so much better than it is in the States here. I don't know why. It's just, it's so good. But yeah, when I was in Miraflores, there's like KFC, there's Starbucks, there's McDonald's, like there's all these American-based like food companies. Side note, one thing I noticed about being here is that I stick out like a sore thumb. There are not many Black people in Peru, Lima, Peru at all. Like when I say after being here for a few weeks, I could probably count on one hand how many Black folks I done seen. And so not only do I stick out because I'm a tourist, but also I stick out because I'm Black. And so it's a drastic difference from being in Panama City where I kind of could blend in there. But here, it's pretty easy to tell that I'm not from Lima. So that is interesting, but it doesn't make me feel unsafe. It doesn't make me feel discriminated against in any way. It's just an observation because I am definitely the minority for sure. A lot of people visit Peru because of Machu Picchu. It's one of the famous wonders of the world, dipped off in the Andes Mountains, and it is a very popular tourist attraction. However, it is a trek to get there. If you wanted to go to Machu Picchu from Lima, you have to take like a 2-hour ride out there. Then you have to take another ride to like actually get to the site. So if it's on your bucket list to visit Machu Picchu, keep that in mind. If you come straight to Lima, you still have to travel to get to Machu Picchu. Now, we've talked about everything that I've experienced here in Lima, Peru, but the one question I always get is it safe? I get that question the most everywhere I go. Is it safe? Are you scared? Are you nervous? Are you afraid to get kidnapped? Like all these questions about safety. And although I do understand that, safety is important, and you definitely want to be aware of what you're getting yourself into when you're visiting any place that's not familiar to you. But I will say this, Peru is by far one of the places that I felt the most safe. I shared the same sentiment in Panama, and so now being in Peru, I actually feel safer here. I can't say that I felt a sense of danger in any place that I've been in, and that doesn't mean that it is not there. I just haven't felt that. If you go out to the ocean front, there are people just walking with their dogs. Speaking of dogs, there are so many stray dogs here. And I will say in the areas I've been in, I have not felt unsafe. As always, keep your head on the swivel. Definitely don't give a reason to be a target. That's easier said than done, but use your common sense. But yeah, other than that, my whole experience since I've been here has been amazing. If you're from Lima or you've visited Peru before and you got some recommendations, put them in the comments. I would love to hear your experience, love to hear your recommendations. If there are other places I visit around the area or things that I experienced that I think you might enjoy, I'm definitely gonna come back and share them with you. All in all, Lima has been good to me, and I'll be here for a little bit longer, so I'll definitely fill y'all in on everything that I experienced. So don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a beat. If you have any questions or you just want to let me know what you think, put it in the comments. And until then, I will see you in the next video.